People are not one mistake, they are not one difficult moment or one reaction. Hi guys, welcome back to Nancy's Empowerment Hub, where we nurture mental and emotional wellness. In today's topic, we are diving into resilience in relationships. Ever since I started exploring the topic of resilience, I only looked at it as this strong, rigid tool that I can just pull out and solve things whenever something goes wrong. But exploring resilience in relationship has changed my perspective a little. When we talk about resilience in relationship, it is more like a soft inner steadiness. It is something that helps us to stay present with each other, especially when things in a relationship feels complicated, a little more weird, or maybe someone is just human and they made a mistake. When we go into resilience in relationship, being resilient, you're having that soft inner steadiness. It helps you to navigate around relationships, whether it is a romantic relationship, friendship relationship, colleague relationship, neighbor relationship. Any type of relationship applies here. So why do you need resilience in relationship? Sometimes people think that a relationship only has a challenge when there is those big dramatic events like a dramatic breakup, a dramatic exchange of words, but that's not how it goes. Relationship challenges happen when there is that awkward silence, quiet expectations, small misunderstandings, or in some days people are just not in sync. So today, let us explore resilience as something softer, something that helps us to stay connected, not by fixing everything, but by staying open. Now, when I was exploring this topic, I came across 4 important points, and this will help you to see how resilience works in a relationship, or how resilience helps in a relationship, or even how to build resilience. So let's dive in. So the first thing that I learned is that resilience is a gentle staying power in a relationship. So as a gentle staying power in that relationship, here resilience is about being able to stay emotionally present even when things are not going perfectly. So it allows people to pause, breathe, and remember that even if they currently have a misunderstanding, they are still on the same side. So as a gentle staying power in a relationship, resilience keeps connection from disappearing even when people have conflicts. Imagine 2 children building a sandcastle together by the shore of the ocean, and they are enjoying the activity. They are arranging and planning how many walls the castle will have. They are laughing and feeling good in that moment. And then all of a sudden the water waves come in and they carry away that sandcastle. One of them might feel frustrated, another one disappointed, but that does not end their spirit or determination to recreate again. So in real life, sandcastle is the relationship, something that 2 people come together and build with trust, time, and care. And in this relationship, just like the water waves came and washed off the sandcastle, there are outside pressures that comes like waves, where life waves hits your relationship castle. So these waves could be financial pressures, stress from work, distance, or bad timing. So none of these are inside the relationship itself, but they still have that ability to come and hit that relationship and weaken it. So in this case, resilience looks like noticing that the waves came. Here, resilience is not pretending that life waves are not there, or they have not hit, or that you're not feeling the pressure on you. It is about that pressure hit us. Then, instead of walking away or blaming everything on each other, you pause, you breathe, you stay present in that relationship, and then try to rebuild it together. This could be by maybe adjusting how you're doing things, slowing down, or talking more about it. So here is where traits like patience come in, because you're not rushing to fix everything immediately. And then there is communication. This is where you communicate exactly what the wave did to you and how it made you feel. just share it, because most of the times are when people assume that the other person knows exactly what you're thinking or how you're feeling. No one has the ability to read your mind. No one has the ability to literally read how you feel unless you tell them, unless you communicate clearly. So having that resilience, that gentle staying power in a relationship, you learn how to communicate openly. So with this, you get yourself with that trait of commitment where you don't abandon the whole structure when part of it gets damaged. So here you work quietly, keeping the relationship from collapsing. Also, there is another layer, since not all waves come from outside. Sometimes one person becomes the wave without meaning to. This can come through a tired comment said too sharply, a forgotten promise, a reaction shaped by stress or old fears, or something very small to you but it feels big to the other person. So things like this can really hurt the relationship, and they are inside the relationship. So this is where things get harder, because now resilience is not just about surviving the outside world, it's about handling each other's imperfect moments. So here, resilience can look like self-awareness, where you realize, I might be the reason why this hurts. Also here, resilience looks like repair, where you go back and fix everything. You don't just assume that it never happened. And most importantly, there is emotional steadiness. This is why you don't turn one mistake into definition of the whole person. Also, there is empathy, where we try to understand people's intention and not impact. Sometimes we focus so much on how we feel, or how someone made us feel, or how things affected us. That is now the whole impact of whatever happened, and we forget to look at the intention. Maybe someone never even intended to hurt you. They were just doing their thing. They were just saying something. With empathy, even though you're hurt, you tend to understand the intention behind the activity that made you hurt, and most of the times they are just honest mistakes. Also here, resilience comes with a perspective where you understand that this is one moment, one event, one situation, one circumstance that has happened, and that does not define the whole relationship. The important thing to remember here is that people are not one mistake. They are not one difficult moment or one reaction. They are whole, very complex, and still becoming. So instead of judging someone because of one single wave that they caused or one single wave that they survived, resilience asks us to see someone as a whole. Resilience helps us to see people as they still build on with us or with other people. The second topic that I came across when exploring resilience in relationships is communication and conflict. So here, resilience is about making more space for being human. And in resilient relationships, communications don't have to be perfect. Sometimes it's messy, sometimes it is unfinished, and sometimes you're just trying to go back again after a huge misunderstanding. So here, resilience shows up in the willingness to say, I did not explain that better. Please, let me explain it again. Or I'm listening to you even if I don't fully agree yet. So here, conflicts become less about winning and losing and more about finding each other again. So think of communication in a relationship as two people passing ball back and forth. Sometimes the throw is off and the ball hits the wall instead. Sometimes it drops, and maybe sometimes one person reaches to it too fast and they end up missing it. So in a fragile version of connection, that's where things end. Someone gets frustrated and they just stop throwing the ball anymore, or worse, decides that the other person can't play right. But in a resilient relationship, that moment is part of the game. Someone can say, wait, I didn't mean to throw it like that, let me throw it again. Or, I think I missed what you were trying to say. Can you send it back slower? So here with resilience, people don't treat the missed catch as a failure. They treat it as information to do something differently. Conflict then is not about two people fighting over who threw the ball better. It is about two people adjusting distance, timing, and rhythm so that the passes can start to land more often. And sometimes one person pauses to hold the ball a little longer, not to win or to punish, but to make sure that the other person is ready. Sometimes one person steps closer, sometimes one person throws it slower, and slowly over time the focus shifts. It stops being about proving who is right and who is wrong, and it becomes about making sure that the ball keeps moving between them. So the third topic that I came across while exploring resilience in relationship is trust and support. Here, resilience stands as the quiet rebuilding. Trust is not only about never being hurt. It is also believing that repair is possible. Sometimes people disappoint us. Sometimes we disappoint people. That is part of being human. But in resilient relationship, there is a room for repairing, rebuilding. Not rushing, not forcing, but allowing consistency, time, and care to do the work. So support in this sense is often quiet. It is showing up, checking in, and it is not disappearing when things get uncomfortable. Imagine trust as a bridge that people are building together across the river. They don't build it all at once. Sometimes it requires them to add one piece at a time, slowly and carefully. Some days the bridge feels solid, like it's holding them both well. Other days it wobbles, and they both pause for a second, wondering if everything is okay. And sometimes something heavier happens. Panic. One person may be thinking, maybe I'm doing something wrong, maybe I'm missing a step. What if I mess everything up here? And mostly these thoughts come when you have low self-esteem and you constantly need validation to be sure that you're doing everything right. And in other cases, you can find one particular person asking, is the other person doing their part right? Is this bridge strong enough, or is this bridge already starting to weaken? So that's where misunderstandings start, and small doubts turn into questions turn into tension, and tension eventually leads to arguments. Suddenly people are arguing not just about the bridge now, but about whether it can even stand. And sometimes the troubles of building this bridge is not about them. It can be affected by outside forces. Maybe some pieces are missing, materials don't arrive on time, and sometimes we just have unfavorable weather conditions and they just delay how the bridge is built. In real life, these are stuff like stress, timing, distance, or other life circumstances. So here the mind might start to shift and think, this won't work. Or even worse, maybe the other person isn't even trying. So in this moment, the bridge doesn't fall because it was never real. It feels like it might fall because everything feels uncertain at the same time. There is doubt, delay, and misunderstandings. But even then, resilience is not pretending that none of this is happening. It is about both people staying long enough for them to realize, oh, we were just reacting to fear and pressure, but not fact. So they choose to continue building the bridge together, putting piece by piece, slowly, imperfectly, and together. The last topic that I came across is adaptability, where people grow together and not against each other. People change, feelings shift, life moves. With that in mind, resilience is what helps relationships to bend without breaking. To be able to adapt to any form of change that may occur between two people in a relationship. It is more of a soft flexibility where you say something like, we may not be exactly who we were before, but we are still here, still choosing to understand each other. Think of a relationship like two people running a business together. At the beginning, things are clear and hopeful. People trust each other. They split responsibility, and slowly they build something that feels stable. But over time, market changes. Life changes. One person can get busier, there could be new responsibility brought in, another person's priorities might change. So what used to work smoothly suddenly does not fit the same way anymore. So when they stay rigid, when people say this is the way that we do things, this is how we have been doing things, and this is how things will be done, no other way. Here the business starts to struggle, not because these two people didn't care, it's because they are forcing what has already moved forward to stay the same instead of embracing new change. So in a resilient partnership, people don't treat change like failure. They sit down and rework things. Maybe roles need to shift, or maybe expectations need to be adjusted. Maybe one person carries more for a while, then the balance changes later. It is not always equal in the same way, but it stays shared. So now let me share with you brief practical ways to nurture this kind of resilience. So instead of trying to build resilience like a project, think of it more like tending to something alive. Small things matter. This could be pausing before reacting, listening without a rush to fix, allowing space for a misunderstanding to soften over time, and taking care of your own emotional state so that you don't take emotional exhaustion in a relationship. So these aren't big actions, but they shape emotional climate in a relationship. Thank you for staying with me today. And just remember, resilience in a relationship is not about being perfect or getting everything right. It is about those small moments. A moment where you choose to be open, a moment you choose to try again, and to keep showing up for each other in a human way. So take care of yourself and take care of those connections too, even the imperfect ones. They are still worth tending to. See you in the next topic, July 1st, where we'll be talking about resilience in children. Till next time, stay empowered.